I think that veganism as a concept is kind of stupid. Like, obviously, if you're a vegan, like, do whatever you want. Like, I'm not trying to stop you. I'm not saying you're wrong for doing that. I'm just saying, like, I don't really get the concept of it. And, like, here's basically this is why I'm not vegan. I feel like, humans eating meat and eating animal products is natural. And we've done it, like, since humans were around. Like, we're omnivores. Our bodies are made to have meat and animal products and to, like, use that and benefit from that. Um, and vegans argue that, like, oh, well, the meat industry is bad, it's bad for the environment, the animals are treated bad. Which, like, yeah, I get that. Like, yeah, I think that's good that you're not supporting the meat industry, but I'm saying, like, okay, if you find, like, a humane, sustainable local meat supplier, animal product supplier, what's wrong with that? Or if you like hunt and fish or farm on your own, what's wrong with that? You know? I think the meat industry is bad, but I don't think that eating meat in general is bad. And some of the things, like, I don't get why you have to boycott all animal products, because things like eggs, like the chickens are gonna lay eggs anyway, dog. And like honey, I've read all this stuff about like how bees are like unionized and like if they're being mistreated they will just leave. Like they're free range bees in honey farms, they can leave and they choose not to, and they're down with humans taking their honey obviously because they don't sting them. And like I get that the process of like getting milk from cows is kind of weird, kind of freaky, but if it's done humanely, it doesn't hurt them. And yeah, the dairy farming industry is pretty bad, how they will like forcibly get cows pregnant so they can produce milk. But again, like local sustainable suppliers, like that is where it's at. Like there's nothing wrong with eating animal products if you do it correctly. I don't think that's immoral. See, I don't like vegans, or when vegans or vegetarians, they're like, oh, eating meat is unnatural and that's literally murder. It's literally homicide. You should be arrested. Like, girl, that's just nature. Other animals kill other animals and eat them. That's just normal. So yeah, that's why I wouldn't really go vegan. Because meat is yummy. Like, that's, at the end of the day, it's yummy. I like a good steak. I like butter, you know? I found that for me, it's very important for my life to be aesthetic. Because, like, if it's not aesthetic, then I am just unhappy. And I just, like, what's the point? What's the point living? Like, if I can't take pictures of my life, of myself, of the space that I live in, of what I'm doing, and look back on those pictures and think, damn, that's cute, that was aesthetic, then I'm just depressed. And I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is, because you think, okay, I shouldn't have to have my life be aesthetic and be like a cute Instagram post for me to be happy. But it's just important to me. I'm very artistically minded, you know? I need to be surrounded by beauty, and I need my life to be beautiful and to be visually appealing. I think that's just important for me, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I think that's the reason I like fall better than the other seasons. It's because it has such a distinctive, cohesive, and like almost more something, more like the aesthetic of fall more than the aesthetic of summer or spring or winter. Fall is a very specific aesthetic. And so that's why I like it. And I also like pumpkin spice, and I like apple flavored things, and I like the fall colors, and I like the weather. And there you go. My life needs to be aesthetic. So I'm reading Elliot Page's memoir right now, and it's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. Like, I'm reading through and I enjoy reading it, which is great. Because, considering that he's not, first and foremost, he's not a writer, it's pretty good. But one thing that I have a problem with it is that he, tries to turn every story about his life into, a moral lesson, let me give you an example. Hang on, let me find it. Okay, yeah, so, he's talking about when he was younger, he had an eating disorder. And he's giving this, really, personal, genuine recounting of the story, and it's good. And then he just ends it with this fact where he says, research has shown that transgender and gender nonconforming youth are 4 times more likely to struggle with an eating disorder. That's direct sentence from the book, just in the middle of all the personal stuff. It's okay, sure, important statistic for people to know, but why is it in a personal memoir about you, Yeah, it relates to you. You're a transgender person who's had an eating disorder, but it just doesn't feel personal, It's it's showing and not telling is what it is. It's spitting facts and statistics at you like it's a nonfiction book when it's a personal memoir, and you should be telling about your story. You should be showing about your story. Show us your experience with the eating disorder. Show us how that affected you. Show us how it interplays with your gender identity. Don't just tell us that transgender people experience eating disorders more often, And this sort of telling when you should be showing sort of happens throughout the book, although I'm only halfway through, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But again, it happens here where he's talking about when he had his first stalker when he was younger, and it's going through what happened, how that developed, and how he felt, and it's good. But he ends it with the stalker being diagnosed with schizophrenia, and Elliot says, if there is a tiny morsel of goodness in all of this, it's that he was finally seen. He can now receive support for his pain. Perhaps that was all he was asking for. I hope he got the help he needed. I hope he never did this again. Yeah, okay, great. He got the help he needed. That's great. But how is it it almost seems like virtue signaling to say yeah, he stalked and abused me, but I can forgive him. He just needed mental health treatment. Mental health matters. Mental health matters, guys. Which, sure, that's important to say, but couldn't people get that from an Instagram infographic? This book's job is not activism. This isn't about, raising awareness. This isn't about a political statement. This is about Elliot's personal life story. And, it just feels impersonal. Maybe him having schizophrenia actually changed the whole situation for you, and it made you, that was a really important moment for you. Maybe it was. The way it's written, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like a virtue signaling kind of conclusion to the story. But yeah, it's a good book. You should read it. I love you, Elliot Page. I love Juno. I love Whip It. Underrated ass Elliot Page movie, but pretty much almost as good as Juno. So if you like Juno, watch Whip It. It's about roller derby. Love you, Elliot Page.